Hi, everybody. Welcome to our live stream. I'm Travis Stevens.
And I'm Emily Kerrigan, and we're so glad that you're here. This is so exciting.
This is really, really exciting. This is our first time doing this. So
to be clear, we're often behind the camera. It's our first time being on camera doing a live stream.
That is a good point. Our first time in front of the camera doing a live stream. Welcome. We're talking about the power of live today. And this is a conversation. This is a conversation that is not just between the two of us, but it is with you in chat as well. Chat, just to show you the functionality of how our chat works. Why don't somebody throw a comment in chat, and we'll show you how you can be featured in today's live stream. Anybody joining in?
Let's feature. I see a hi, Travis and Emily. Maybe that's a nice comment. Maybe we could put that up as a featured chat today.
As a featured chat today.
While we're waiting for that to happen, why don't you tell us a little bit about who Butcherbird is?
Who is Butcherbird? That is an amazing, amazing question. So Butcherbird is a production company. We're a full-service production company, creative company, and we really help brands and our partners take ideas from those little sparks to full execution. Those things that we do is, woo.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Steve, to say, those things that we do are the collaborative process that really Butcherbird helps bring ideas to life. And companies that we work with are everybody from Netflix, Charles Schwab, State Farm, Colgate,
TikTok, Twitch, you name it.
And speaking of Charles Schwab, I'm going to throw it out right now. Even though we're going live right now, we have a whole other team that's like in the backstage area, and they're going live with Charles Schwab.
Yes.
What time?
At 2 o'clock today. We will. We'll mention it again at the end of the show, and we'll drop a link in chat and follow up so you guys can take a look today to kind of see what we're talking about today looks like in action.
Yeah, it's a lot of the stuff that we're talking about today that they're actually throwing onto the screen, and it's going to be super fun. One of our favorite streams ever.
And I'm curious to kind of get started. You're all here for a reason. Some of you because we forced you to be here. Thanks everybody at Butcherbird, and some of you because you are curious about live streaming and how you can use live for your brand. So let us know in the chat. What has your experience with live stream been? Have you ever touched live before? Is it absolutely terrifying to your team? Is it something that you've tried out, but maybe you're looking for some best practices? Give us a sense of, what you're looking to hear more about today, and we'll see if we can incorporate that.
And Tanya, to answer your question, because I know you are on the East Coast, yes, 2 p.m. Pacific.
Charles Schwab,
2 p.m. Pacific.
So let's give the people an overview of what we're going to talk about today. Travis, can you throw that overview up for us?
For sure, yeah. Overview. We got picture in picture. We got slides.
Look at our pips, guys. So first of all, we're going to just talk briefly about the evolution of live streaming, where live started and where it is today. Then we're going to look at how live drives engagement, which drives community building. Then we're going to have a discussion about brand affinity versus brand awareness, which I don't know, might get contentious. You're all marketers here, so I'm sure you have opinions.
For sure.
Then we're going to get to what I know you're really excited about, because you're all marketers, which is the ROI of live.
Can I do something real quick?
Absolutely.
Can I for the if we get a little finicky?
Yeah.
I'm going to hit the cat playback. Because it sounds like the cats are fighting at the end of this.
I like it.
And then when we're celebrating things, it's going to be this. It's going to be.
I love it.
Air horns.
I love it.
Okay,
I also I just want to shout out Laura's comment. She said, "I'd like to know how live streaming can be used for accessibility purposes." That is a great question, and I'm really excited to see how we can show that to you today as well.
For sure.
So, and then of course we're going to talk best practices, where I think, Laura, some of those questions might be answered for you. And last but certainly not least, we'll have a little Q&A. Answer any burning questions you might have.
So we're going to kick off the conversation. We're going to talk a little bit about the evolution of live streaming.
Yes.
Where did it start?
Well, I'm sure we all have in our heads an idea of what live is, right? And for some of us, that might be traditional broadcast live, things like sports, things like awards shows.
Prince playing Purple Rain at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yes.
All
that's
your
live.
favorite live cultural moments. And we think what's so exciting about live as a medium is it's immediacy and can't miss nature, which we're going to talk about a little bit more later. But Travis, one of the things that's really exciting to me and that we talk about often here on Butcherbird is how live is now really sweeping the social media space. And with that, brands are able to get into the live space in a whole new way that doesn't rely on traditional broadcast television. Yeah. And they're able to speak to customers, which is really exciting.
Yeah. And when we talk about live and the power of live, it's really that conversation, the speaking to customers, the agency that you're giving the audience, right, to shape things. And again, we'll kind of get in through this. But what we've found is for brands, when they come into the space, they're starting to get a lot better metrics, a lot better. It's not just passive viewing, it's active engagement. And when we talk about live, really we're talking about engagement on platforms.
Well, and I think speaking to Laura's question about accessibility, one of my favorite examples that I've seen recently is this past Fashion Week, Gucci did a live stream of their runway show, which is an event that has been historically very exclusive, right? It's something that is intended to create this sense of, you wish you were there. And for a legacy brand like Gucci to open that up and say, you know what, we know we have a lot of fans who probably can't afford to purchase our stuff, but the cultural impact of saying, we're going to give you a front row seat is huge. And they saw a massive response. So those kinds of moments, I think, open up not only, again, that brand awareness, but that brand affinity that we're going to talk a little bit about. But let's talk about the data, because I'm really excited. We've got a lot of good data to share with you all today. Sure. So we know that 21% of that so special 18 to 34-year-old demographic, they're not only watching live stream, they're watching live stream videos multiple times per day. Whew. That's exciting.
Yeah. And again, it's because they're talking with their friends. They're engaging with the personalities on screen that they find important around their favorite video game, around whatever communities they're a part of, whether that's World of Warcraft or car enthusiasts.
And the exciting thing is we know that over 50% of live video is actually streamed through social media. So yes, all those amazing live events on TV obviously are still massive and important, but we know that people are going to social channels for live.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And social channels give that engagement where for the broadcast, even though they're live, people are needing to engage on second screen events. And, it's just the primacy of social media for joining in.
And this one really shocked me, actually, that 82% of participants said that they actually prefer live video from a brand to static social posts, which I think is really cool because it can be really hard to figure out as a brand where live fits into your overall social campaigns. And I think it's a good reminder that live is not a separate piece of the puzzle. It gets integrated in the same way you would plan out all of your other social pieces.
And it's fun.
And there's so many ways to do it, which take us into our next thing, which is really looking at all the different types of live streaming that are possible.
Yeah, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about remote, in studio, on location, and hybrid. So break those down.
So I'm just going to show you guys what some of these look like. This is a remote stream. A great example. It's a show we did for Splash Fizz, a fizzy water brand with T-Pain. Again, you see we have all of our callers getting called in remotely here. And we're using dynamic graphics, really fun interactivity with chat to make this show more than just, a Zoom call with people coming in. So remote streams, great way to access live stream, especially on a smaller budget.
Yeah. And then we have in-studio streams. Up on the screen right now is a still from Alexis show that we did where we built a game show. In studio. Chat was able to tune in, but nobody joined remotely. So all the talent was in studio, interacting with each other, interacting with the props and the cars and stuff like that, and having a grand old time doing so.
And it gives that polish that, I think we've come to expect from brands on channels like this. And then, of course, we have On Location. This is really when we're looking at those larger kind of event live streams, right? So this is a good example. We've done this for the Emmys and for the Oscars the past couple years for TikTok, where we're going on to an event space that is already built up. You've already put the spend into creating that incredible activation, and now you're giving people the opportunity to see it live in all new ways, which is really fun. And something like this, we've all seen a traditional award show live broadcast, but what makes something like this show really interesting is it was built for the TikTok audience. It was Gen Z centric. It incorporated the language they use, the celebrities they love, and interactivity so they could be part of the conversation.
And the celebrities were jazzed as well because they're going through like the
Yes.
traditional post-winning press junket area, and then they see our TikTok booth, and woo, it was game on. Game on. And then finally, my favorite, which is hybrid. The hybrid stream is remote. Here we had a couple of remote hosts calling in from over the pond. They were calling in from the UK while we were hosting a live event with Avalie May at the Arcane premiere at Riot Games campus over in Santa Monica. And even better was then we had a bunch of live streamers joining us via remote robots, where they got to drive around their remote controlled robots around the red carpet area. Emily, you were there.
Highly recommend including robots in any of your live shows. It's a delight.
Yeah, the press reaction, everybody's the talent reaction to it, people lost their minds. It was a ton of fun.
So now you have a sense of what some of these live streams look like. I want to really get into our next kind of big topic, which is how live stream drives engagement to drive community as well.
Real quick, Tanya brought up the accessibility thing, Laura's question earlier about accessibility. That's actually right there. We were just talking about the Arcane premiere. So accessibility can mean so many different things, right? It's bringing people into events that can't make it, or say it's an event that because of personal things that you may not have the ability to kind of run around and go to a red carpet or whatever. Now all of a sudden we have a remote controlled robot that's pulling your view of you. It's like essentially an iPad on a Segway, those remote controlled robots.
But it's what we talked about with Gucci, right? It's giving people access to what has historically been an exclusive event or an experience that is limited to a certain number of people or a location, which is one of the reasons that we think live streaming is a powerful way to reach communities globally.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So when you do that, one of the things that we have to talk about is how that drives engagement, we just talked about, which then drives the building of a community, right? Communities are what live streaming is really all about, because if people just wanted to tune in passively, again on broadcast TV or whatever, that's one thing. But when they get excited about their brands, whether that brand be House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones, or whether that brand be Gucci, or whether that brand be their favorite live streamer,
Wendy's,
Wendy's, whatever. It's communities then pop up around those brands where people love to talk with those brands and talk about those brands with each other.
Absolutely. Well, and I think when we talk about the power of live, which is, why you're here, that's the title of the show, right? The power of live. The power of live comes from the immediacy, authenticity, and interactivity that streaming really offers as a medium. We look at that immediacy. Again, that is that unscripted, edge of your seat, anything could happen kind of entertainment, right?
Yeah. And then authenticity is a way to speak directly to your customers in your voice, in the voice that they understand, right, and are coming to expect, and leaning into that authentic first-person relationship of the creators with the audience.
Absolutely. And it's what you said earlier, right, which is turning passive viewers into active participants through engagement and gamification. And I think altogether, these three pillars really help create consumer trust. They build genuine conversation, and that's where community stems from around a brand online.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you have an example of this?
Oh, I do. This is a personal favorite of mine. We did a really fun live show for Netflix last year that was leading up to essentially what was the trailer drop for Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Okay.
And so we did a virtual escape room on TikTok, so a live show where fans who have a deep knowledge of lore and characters and plot from the original series could come and showcase that together to unlock puzzles, to solve different things throughout, to find clues, and then to finally, at the end of the hour, actually unlock the trailer. And with that, you saw not only just incredible conversation around the brand itself, but we saw overall, globally, a 650% engagement rate. So for every single person who was there, they engaged with the stream, whether that be commenting, sharing, liking, at least 6 times, which is crazy.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
And it was crazy fun, too.
It was crazy fun.
And for the record, Emily directed that. She was our main creative on that one.
It was very fun.
It was good times. So we got some more data here.
You know we have more data. So we know that live generates 27% more minutes of viewing than on-demand content.
Well, we know that now.
We know that now.
And chat, just so you know, we will have follow-up materials here at the end of this.
Send you all
where we are pulling these numbers from. If you're ever trying to
you can see the citation right underneath, but we'll send you actual links if you're curious to learn more about all of this.
For sure. Interactive content leads to 52.5% more engagement with the brand, right?
Yeah, than static content does.
Yeah.
So again, that engagement is really one of the metrics that we're looking at when we're looking at live, because we know that marketers are looking to go beyond just viewership and get those engagement numbers up, because that's where we're seeing you're able to eventually get those people to convert, which again, we'll talk about shortly. Very exciting.
We like that.
And we know that consumers find live content in the feed really, really engaging. So,
for sure.
Now we get to talk about some of my favorite stuff.
Okay. What is it?
So, brand awareness. Brand awareness is great. But in a marketplace where consumers are both highly sophisticated and are constantly being bombarded by ads, we have to build brand affinity. Awareness just simply isn't enough in the new marketing funnel.
Right.
It's about building an emotional connection between your consumer and your brand. And we know that as we look at demographics like Gen Z wants brands to not only reflect their values, but they have a deep need to feel heard. And I think that's where you see brands like Wendy's, who have this brand voice where they're able to actually talk to people in what feels like an authentic way, resonate so much with younger demographics.
So for me, it's when you're creating that emotional connection, where, listen, it's not that I'm old, but I'm definitely old. I'm older than live.
Hey, chat, you see those little icons at the bottom? Show Travis some love. Send him some little chat icons.
But what didn't exist 10 years ago that exists now is there is an expectation from the audience of being able to connect with the talent on screen.
Absolutely.
There's an expectation. There's an expectation probably in chat on LinkedIn right now.
Yeah.
Chat on LinkedIn. What do we got?
Well, actually, so Will has a good comment about the marketing funnel. I won't deep dive into this too much because this is a whole other webinar. But as a lot of you marketers out there are probably very familiar with, the marketing funnel no longer looks quite like a funnel. It's more like an infinite feedback loop, because most consumers these days are making decisions about brands after they've purchased products, and they're looking for validation that the brands they've purchased products from are cool and interesting and in the zeitgeist that they want to be in. So it's a very different methodology of speaking to consumers, and it comes from, again, not just shoving product in their face, but actually building a relationship with them over time.
Yeah, and humanizing the brand, right?
Absolutely.
And one of the things that we do say around here is where there's a community, right? You've built this community around your brand. There's an economy. And that, I say that because for time immemorial, all of history, as soon as like clumps of people started gathering together, they started trading things. Hey, I have this flint knife that I made, and you have like some deer skin or whatever. There was trading and bartering and things that were happening. And even in the digital age, that remains true, right?
Absolutely.
And the users that are watching, your audiences that are watching, they're sophisticated. They know that they're being sold to. And what they want is and expect is, hey, just hang a line on it. We all see it, but talk to me in a way that like you're not talking down to me. Don't condescend me.
Yeah.
Don't
condescend. Don't condescend, Travis.
Please. I mean, you can. That's fine.
Well, I want to highlight, I think Raina's comment in the chat hits at it. Live streaming is more inclusive and allows more people to have a voice and be heard and seen. 100%. And I think what's exciting about that for brands is, as Travis just said, if you're able to come in and actually be authentic, actually provide value to a community, and we'll talk about what providing value looks like in a moment.
In real time.
Right. It makes people feel heard and seen, and access. I'm so glad that like this idea of access has become a bigger part of the conversation today, because live stream is a gateway to accessing communities and consumers that I think can be really tricky digitally when, again, people are just constantly having to sift through consumer options.
Sure. And listen, the way you're saying what you're saying is as important as what you're saying, right? Because it has to be a way that lands on the audience. It lands to them. And one of my favorite examples, again, Charles Schwab, that we're doing today, this is actually the third activation that we have done for Charles Schwab. You explained this way better than me.
It's so fun, you guys. So Charles Schwab, it's a very traditional brand, right? With, as you can imagine, some pretty conservative brand guidelines, and the FCC breathing down their necks. So when they came to Twitch and were like, we know we ought to talk to Twitch kids because, you know, they're important, but we have no idea what to do on this Twitch platform. What we were able to create is a show that took one of their MSNBC contributors. He's a guy you've probably seen talking about the economy on the news before. Real nice guy. He was like, listen, I play a lot of World of Warcraft, and I think it's fascinating that the US economy actually affects the in-game economy of World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
So we built a show around that conceit with top WoW streamers coming together with him, having a conversation, and it was incredible.
Because what we didn't know, I didn't know going into this,
yeah,
is that he is a giant nerd.
Huge nerd. And
so not just speaking to that community, actually a member of that community.
Absolutely.
And knew how to talk to them.
And so when he came on stream, it was this incredible moment of, if you're not familiar with Twitch, the Twitch audience can be brutally honest, to say the least. And so they came on and were like, who is this guy? How dare he like Charles Schwab? And then next thing you know, he opens his mouth and starts actually speaking, and they go, oh my gosh, this guy is one of us. And they recognize, wow, he's actually making some really interesting points. This is actually really interesting. This is actually really helpful. Yeah. And on the success of that, we were able to dive into his nerdiness and did another show that was a Dungeons and Dragons campaign about personal finance. And the show today is going to be really fun. There's monsters involved, so you should absolutely check it out. We're using some PNG tuber functionality if you're familiar with that.
Puppeteering monsters.
And I think that, you know, it's a great example of how bringing value can look like so many different things, but oftentimes it's bringing something that an audience maybe doesn't know and is going to be educational or helpful, but saying it in that way that speaks to them organically on the platforms that they live on.
We're not just tooting the Butcherbird horn here, because there are like people that have done this that are really exciting that I am a personal fan of.
Yes, I know who you're going to say.
Yeah, Duolingo. We always talk about them, right?
Yeah.
And they nailed jumping into the TikTok platform and being authentic with their brand voice. And it wasn't just like, like everybody started riding Wendy's coattails, right? With like this insert sassy corporate voice here, right? Which I love. I mean, I'm here for Wendy's. But Duolingo did an amazing job at engaging their audience, who they wanted to be talking to, which was young Gen Zers, on the platform where they could find them in the voice that they understood. And it was a clinic. It was so great.
And I think it's taking that win and not just doing what a lot of brands, as you mentioned, have done, which is kind of trying to mimic that, but it's finding what does that look like for your own brand. And I do want to hit, Steve had a really interesting question earlier, and I think that asking about, have we ever given chat the opportunity to actually control elements within a live stream? Because I think, again, this goes back to some of that fun authenticity feeling, right? Like, we're not just here to tell you about our brand. We are State Farm and we want to talk to you.
We've given chat terrifying control where like they were shooting a grapple gun to grab prizes on a big set. For Samsung, which was crazy.
We did a show for Sonic where there was a really fun prize wheel that had different things that would get given away to chat, and chat had the ability through a really fun third-party technology that we developed, that we utilized to help develop this, the ability to actually control the speed of the prize wheel together so they could try and get it to land on the right things. So absolutely, the more you can integrate and give your audience a way to control things. We talk a lot here about putting up a PTZ camera in a live stream and giving the audience the opportunity to control the camera. All those things are a huge win. And again, it comes back to that trust, right? Of a brand to say, hey, let's make this fun. Let's have a good time together, and let's make you feel emotionally connected to our brand.
And we've even done it actually in storytelling as well. There's a couple of examples where we did a science fiction show called Orbital Redux that was live. Absolutely the most ambitious thing that we've ever done. Live science fiction with gags and floating anti-gravity gags, and it was crazy. But we also let chat be a part of the storytelling of that, where they got to choose certain story points. And that was like, certain decision points. Then after that, we did another one that was a Halloween haunted house, where we got a really popular horror game reviewer to review a game for us. And we didn't tell, it was a lot like War of the Worlds. We didn't tell chat that they were on a different ride than they thought they were on. They thought they were on a horror game review stream, which turned out to be a haunted house stream. And by their reactions, we started shaping the action of the stream over time. Yeah. And that one was wildly popular.
Well, and actually, if you'll throw up our next data slide, I think some of this data speaks directly to that, right? I think it's this idea, the third point, which is 54% of fans say that they can tell if a brand is being authentic. And that is such a fine line to walk as a brand. And it's these kinds of activations and experiences that you can do with live stream that I think hit that authenticity in a really, really exciting way. I'm going to move us forward because I think this next section is going to be one that you're all very excited about. We're going to talk about the ROI of live. So we know that live content converts. Not only is live a great way to build authentic community and foster brand affinity, but we know that live streaming e-commerce is a rapidly growing industry and space, especially in the US.
Yes.
So there are a lot of different ways that we can look at metrics and what conversion looks like for live, right? Do you want to speak to Twitch Sells Out? Because I think that's a really great example.
Yeah. Twitch Sells Out was great. So we got to do a 36-hour live stream for Twitch. Amazon had kind of recently purchased them, and Prime Day was coming up, and they were like, all right, let's figure out a way to speak to the greater Twitch audience, right? And it was this, again, they like leaned into what's the authentic conversation that we're going to have with the Twitch audience. And it was really amazing because over the period of this 36-hour insane live stream,
which is, yes, a long time to be live, if that's what you're thinking.
Listen, if there's any doubt, don't do a 36-hour live stream. Like it was,
or if you do, hire a professional.
oh my
no
goodness. But the end result was a raging success, right? Because over the course of this live stream, the metrics that they had set up for like defining success were 12 times the number of Prime membership signups from what they were expected. A factor of 12 of signups. And then their sales metrics, because we had integrated this cool, like just straight click through and talk about being able to track your data. It was an on-screen click through where whatever product we were featuring live, they could click through, which would take them directly to the Amazon Prime website that they could purchase. And it was so well integrated that their sales metrics exceeded, again, what they had set as their target goals by 500%. Blew them out of the water. 500%. It was great. Yeah.
Well, and I think too, we can look at this on all different types of platforms, right? I know I was reading recently, there's a brand on TikTok called Canvas Beauty. And again, not a brand I was even familiar with, but a brand that's been able to build an audience on TikTok through live streaming. And they actually beat the US record this June. They did a 6-hour live stream where they hit $1 million in sales as a small business.
Wow.
Which is crazy.
Jeez.
And we know that e-commerce, like live shopping, is really popular globally. It's taken the US a little bit longer to get on the train, but that popularity is continuing to grow. Actually, if you want to throw up our next data slide, I think these numbers kind of shocked me, and I work in live, so I'm curious what you all think. But live commerce sales in the US totaled $500 billion last year, and right now they're projected to grow by 36%.
Wow.
By 2026. So we know that consumers want more live shopping experiences. And live shopping can look like a lot of things. It can look like a QVC style live show like Twitch Sells Out. It can be an individual creator who's representing your brand. It can be, an internal team member who becomes a brand personality, right? There's so many ways to look at e-commerce when it comes to live.
And Sasha, to answer your question, Canvas Beauty was the brand that Emily was talking about.
And listen,
Canvas
if you're familiar
Beauty.
with them, please roast me in the chat. I had never heard of them before, so that's why it really excited me, because I think we've seen a lot of brands grow using live on TikTok, and we know that TikTok has been, just from what you can see in the news, like they've been putting such a massive focus on their live platform because, listen, if there's anything TikTok knows, it's how to engage people, right? And the fact that TikTok is so focused on building live as a tool for their creators, I think is indicative of the power of live in the larger industry.
Right. So we've talked a lot about...
Oh, sorry. We have 2 more data points.
Ooh,
trying to skip over my data.
Skipping ahead. Skipping ahead, Travis.
These are good ones too.
Bad streamer.
Travis, did you know that live viewers are 2 times as likely to convert if a stream has an engagement aspect to it?
Now that I'm reading it up, where is it? Now that I'm reading it up on the screen.
We got really excited because these web cameras have AI zoom. So did you know?
Or did you know? Chat.
Well, and on top of that,
Our world. Chat.
live viewers, 43% more likely to purchase the premium version of a product. They're invested in your brand.
Yes. So OBS bot who does these cameras should absolutely do a live stream with us.
That's right, OBS bot. Call us. So we're gonna talk some best practices for brands, because we know that everyone's situation is different, right?
Yep.
You might have a team of 40 people and you might on your marketing team alone, and you might have an in-house team who can absolutely run a live stream for you. Gosh, that is amazing, and we're so excited for you.
Yeah.
You might be a team of one and trying to figure out, how do I incorporate this? And I think the beauty of the technology that we have at our fingertips today is any of us can go live from our smartphones. Wow, I can't find my smartphone. Here we go. From our smartphones. But we do know that quality is a really big factor for audience members when it comes to live. So how can we help you help yourselves?
Well, we can do that by going to this slide.
So pre-production. Let's talk about pre-production a little bit. We have this saying here in the film and television and video production world called fix it in post, which implies it's all good. We'll be able to just make things seem cleaner and better in the post world. But
to be clear, we don't fix it in post.
We don't here at Butcherbird.
Fix it in post.
Other people fix it in post.
Yeah.
But we like to say fix it in pre around here, because with live stream, that's where the bulk of your work is coming from, right? It's that preparation to go live, control as many variables as you can, and make sure that when you actually sit down at your podcasting studio and click on the LinkedIn Live Go Live button for the first time, like we did today, that you are ready to rock. So Travis, why don't you walk us through some of these pre-pro steps?
Okay. So when we talk about pre-pro, we talk about identifying the objectives, right? And you target audience. Because that's where it starts. Like, you won't know what platform to go to or what talent you want to engage until you try to figure out who you're actually engaging, right? Because every platform is different. All the personalities are different. And it's really by talking with people, if not us, people like us who understand the platforms, understand that, like, I mean, this is a great example. You're going to find a different audience on LinkedIn than you are on TikTok.
The tone of your live stream will be very different.
And what talent then you want to engage, because one person doesn't necessarily transfer from one platform to I
we perform horribly on Facebook, Travis and I. We just stopped doing live streams. That people don't like us on Facebook.
Yeah, Meta. I never found traction on Meta. And then research those platforms, right? Not just for who's on them, but then how to use them, right? Because every platform has different tool sets that are available, right? And those tool sets then help you define how you can engage the audience that you find there, right?
Yeah.
And then finally, how do you then shape those tools around that engagement, right? What's the experience? What's the conversation you want to drive for your customers, for your audience?
Well, and I think too, it's, and then we also, with that, once we know, okay, what kind of engagement opportunities do we want? Do we have tools that are built into those platforms, like Travis said, on a Twitch, for example? Can we utilize things like featured chat? Not anymore, RIP, but extensions that allow us to integrate those within the platform. Do we need to build some ourselves? Do we need to find a partner to build some for them? And then once we know what our options are, we really focus on that scripting and run of show, which
scripting,
is
ROS there on the slide. ROS, run of show.
We have a run of show that you cannot see, that has all the details about, what we're saying when, what graphics are flying, what we're cutting to, timing for everything. And those kinds of roadmaps are what allow your talent to be successful, and also your technical team behind the scenes to make sure that they have what they need to make the show really clean.
Yep, absolutely. So then we come to promotion.
And listen, we know that, like, this is us preaching to the choir. You all should probably be doing this slide presentation to us, because you are marketers, and so this is where you thrive. But it's everything that you would do for any other type of event or social campaign. It's again, understanding those platforms. And then it's cross promotion across platforms, because just because you're doing a LinkedIn Live doesn't mean you can't talk about it on your Instagram. And then again, really, once you have that talent, that creator that you've engaged to be part of this, how do you leverage their audience in promotion as well, right? We see that so often this goes underutilized. We know that creator talent can be expensive. And rightfully so, because they have built their audiences and they have really strong relationships that do convert when they partner with brands. We know that fans of creators or fandoms are so much more likely to engage with a brand if it supports the things that they're fans of. But if you're going to engage them, why not also make sure that you're getting that social content that's going to push your stream to the top?
Yep. And create those assets that you need.
Who's going to create those assets? Do you have an internal team? Do you need to find a partner for that?
And then live production, right?
Yes. The big show.
The big show. Be prepared. Fix it in pre, right? And it's everything from like getting your graphics, doing your rehearsals, bouncing through that run of show to make sure that like you haven't missed any beats or you haven't run too long or whatever it is. Trust your team that's building that show for you, which is imperative that you then engage a team that you can trust, right? And if you don't have an internal team that's used to doing things like this, go outside. It's fine. Like you'll build the talent over time, but there's talent that exists out there in the world that can get you there. And then support your on-screen talent, right? Make sure that they have the rehearsal time that they need. Make sure they've done the tech checks. Make sure they've done everything that sets them up for success so that they don't go onto a stream and look the fool, right? And we've seen it happen time and time again. And these platforms, it's really interesting. People tend to think of them as throwaways, right? Oh, it's not broadcast, so I don't have to like worry about it. But the fact of the matter is, and we're seeing this play out time and time again, oddly enough, in our presidential politics here lately, where because the platforms are changing so often, you need a technical team that is staying abreast of the changes on the platforms and the frequency that change comes in a way that like you don't end up kind of showing your backside to the whole world because you have not done the fix it in pre, trust your team, support your talent steps in order to make sure that when you get ready to ride the wave.
Well, before we get to ride the wave, the flip side of that support your talent, where you were saying not giving them what they need to be able to succeed, I think that the other thing that we have seen quite a bit, and I'm sure many of you have experienced in your influencer marketing campaigns and other pieces of the social world, talent know how they need to speak to their audience. I know we hit this already, but we see oftentimes that talent are given a very specific script with copy that is in a voice that doesn't quite match their own. And there's nothing worse than watching talent say to a brand, hey, this doesn't really sound like me. Is it okay if I take these as key talking points and just hit them in my own voice? And a brand not being able to give that control over and let them speak to their audience in that way. That's when you get influencer marketing that's just absolutely, it doesn't feel authentic.
For sure.
And so that ride the wave piece, Travis, take us home with ride the wave.
Ride the wave means once you go live, that's it, man. Every moment's passing you by. Live in the moment.
And accepting that the unexpected can be the best part of a live stream.
Yeah, some of our favorite live stream mishaps have become also from some of our favorite live stream moments. So
chat, feel free to, if you have a favorite live disaster, throw it into the comments for us.
Throw any comments for us. And finally, post-production. Obviously,
we don't fix it here, but we do it.
We do use it. We've gone through all this effort to create content, right? Use that content across those platforms that we know that our audiences engage in different ways. create the BTS, and make the materials that you need to create the follow-up.
Yeah. And then lastly, we know 46% of marketers in 2024 are already using live video in their social campaigns. And if you're not, why aren't you?
Seriously.
Has this changed your mind about live? Now, Travis and I could wax poetic about live stream for another hour.
Lord knows we would.
We respect your time, and we want to make sure that we give you the opportunity to ask questions. So we're going to turn it over to you all in the chat. Do you have, for a little live Q&A, do you have any questions that you want us to dig into based on everything we've talked about today?
Yeah. Without getting into, say, wardrobe malfunctions. Thank you, Carmen, for throwing that on there for our favorite live stream disasters. But what we're talking about is actually we're talking about like the happy accidents. So I mentioned Prince at the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Purple Rain. It starts raining. He gives one of the best live performances on the Super Bowl of all time. Thanks to something that, like, if they had to choose, they probably would have chosen, hey, we'd rather it not rain. But like, man, Prince.
Yeah. Well, I want to hit Carmen's question because I think it's a really good one. And that is, how do you support talent when they don't stick to the script? And I think this hits at a bigger underlying question, which is really brand safety, right? How do we protect brand safety while we're going live? And again, I think it comes back to that trust your team. If you've put a really, really good team in place, you're going to have a live stream director who's talking directly with that talent in ear.
In pre too.
In pre as well.
I think this question actually not sorry. I apologize for cutting you
Just
off.
absolutely.
But like
this is the unexpected of live, folks.
How do you make sure that they stick to the script? Make sure you've made a script that they want to stick to. Like, if you have not listened to them, if you have not engaged the correct person from the
or
outset,
rehearsed with them,
mm-hmm. Like, it is very seldom that somebody will not let you know ahead of time that they're unhappy with where this is going.
And that's not to say that things don't still happen, right? And again, that's why you have a really solid live stream director. It's why you have a technical director who's going to know how to cut to make sure that we can get what the brand needs. And it's why if you're working with a partner like Butcherbird, that team is going to be there for your internal team to be responding. And, you know, there's so many ways that we can moderate chat, that we can ensure that conversations remain positive around the brand. So that brand safety is something that comes into play very much in that pre. And what we do is we build a sandbox of, okay, where are the edges of that sandbox, the wiggle room that we want to give to, again, control as many variables as we can to make sure that your stakeholders at the brand feel comfortable, but that we're still keeping true to the spirit of live.
For sure. Other questions popping into chat. Will, I think, is going to populate one for us so that I can see it.
Everybody give Will behind the scenes a little love in the emojis.
So what is the secret to taking a more traditional brand into the live space for the first time?
Good question.
This is a great question, Mr. Calcote. Emily, thoughts on that one?
Well, I think it's a little bit of that brand safety conversation we were just having, but I think it's something we always try and do is have a lot of conversations early and often with stakeholders at a brand, especially a brand that's maybe a bit more timid or conservative when it comes to live streaming, and identify what are their goals, who are they trying to reach, and then figure out how we can find within a space like Twitch or TikTok that maybe isn't so conservative or traditional, how can we take a brand like that and an audience that we know is looking for something a little bit different than what that brand might present on other platforms. And what's that Venn diagram? Where can we find something that still feels safe to our brand, but maybe pushes outside their brand guidelines just a bit to try something new? And again, with that, I guess we could call it vulnerability. That's that authenticity that we're talking about. Right. It's that willingness to open yourself up to conversation in new spaces and try new things.
Another thing that you can do to help brands that or say more traditional type brands, whatever, they also have a workflow that they're used to using. So one of the things that we do is we provide them a professional apparatus to plug into, so that we help them with their approval chains. We help them with all of those things that like traditional corporations are used to doing as they kind of bubble up echelons, right? So that nobody gets surprised. And that's one of the things that we do that actually helps them go, oh, okay, I'm actually understanding this space a little bit more. It's not just somebody operating out of their mom's basement or something like that, which is, I think, what a lot of people think in the digital space. That's what's happening. It's just not the case anymore. That was 15 years ago. That's not now. Other questions?
Will is going to fly
chat.
another question for us.
Yeah, what do we got? We got, do you need special tools to cut if you need to without ending a stream? Do you have special to cut if you need to without ending a stream? Let me see if I understand this question correctly. So you're talking about, say, we need to go away from Travis so that Travis can fix his camera or do something, or Will needs to come in and replace Travis and sit in his spot, and Emily can start riffing.
And Emily's riffing, and Travis is fixing whatever he needs to fix in the background. Because again, we have someone who's cutting cameras for us to ensure that in live time. Oh, and look, there's Travis. He's back.
Hey.
Thank you so much for joining us.
So special tools, we use whatever tools we need to. So for this particular live stream, we're doing it out of vMix, vMix Call, which is a software-based cutting solution. We've used Green Valley, TriCaster, whatever we need to. We go job appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really dig in.
And I think this comes back to kind of the difference of if you are doing an iPhone live to Instagram and you lose service, it really kind of depends on, I think, the quality of the stream overall and the talent you have. Is this a one-on-one conversation with, the CEO of a smaller brand talking to their audience on a live? Okay, if that's the case, you know what? If you lose service and you have to restart the live, your audience is probably gonna be okay with that.
For sure.
But if you're doing a really large branded live stream, something like the Lexus show, right, which is a massive game show with tons of moving parts and multiple different streaming channels, and you have a ton of stakeholders from the brand there watching to make sure that everything goes perfectly right, you want to have the team and the tools in place to ensure that if something happens on the technical side, you're covered, which is where we get professional tools like vMix, like Travis is talking about. It's why in our studio here, we have redundancies built into every piece of the pipeline. We have multiple fiber lines. Right? We're a little bit, some could call us overly cautious, but I think it's the right amount of cautious when you're doing large scale live streams.
And oddly enough, we call our mission control, our control room mission control, right? So it's one of those very funny things where if you want to be able to make sure mission critical things do not fail, you have to kind of treat them as being mission critical. So I think that's one of the big things that you need to take into consideration, which is tertiary, secondary backups for things that are mission critical, so that when they go awry, it's as easy as pressing a button, and then we're back to where we need to be.
Perfect.
Just like that.
I think we have another question. Will, thank you.
How can brands keep their audience engaged and coming back for future live streams? I think this one really starts with understanding the community and giving that community what they want. Serving the community starts there. If you feed the community what they want, they will come back to eat again and again.
Well, and it's a thing that we do a lot here, right? Which is live series. So it's a show that is recurring on a creator's channel every Monday. It's, something like a show where news and interesting, exciting segments are happening each week. So people have a reason to keep tuning back in. And that we know actually that consistency can be really powerful when it comes to live streaming. We did a live series like that for Netflix. That was a series of watch parties on TikTok where we'd play an episode from a Netflix show, or we'd play a full movie on a TV set. It was very cute and fun. But we did it 10 weeks in a row, and each week I think we saw like a 68% increase in audience week to week, because people started to recognize, oh, this is something that Netflix does on Wednesdays. So it's that consistency, I think, and again, it's building that relationship, right? It's not just coming in one time, doing a live stream and being like, great, we have community. It's keeping that conversation going.
Understand the needs, be consistent, give them what they want, which is often just acknowledgement in chat, or it is they need to know when to tune in, when to come find it. And it's really interesting, whether you're an individual streamer, whether you're a brand, right? Coming in, and it's not just, brand awareness. It's not just awareness of an audience. Oh, we know something, whatever. But now I can start planning on engaging. I can start planning on watching it. That's information that I like, or entertainment that I like, or a brand that I love. And I just want to go in and speak with other people in the community, because, a lot of this, the LinkedIn chat that's happening right now, some of this chat is directed towards us, and some of the chat is actually directed towards other people in chat. And so that's when live streams become really, really fun and kind of off the wall. When chat, you don't even need, we've had live streams where we've finished a live stream, closed out, we're done. Chat stays on the channel just talks with chat for like hours. We've had it happen.
And on that note, another way that brands can get into the conversation is by being in chat during a show. So, we do a show for State Farm called The Jakeover, and it's an NBA 2K streaming show on Twitch where Jake from State Farm plays 2K against all of the top streamers. And it's very fun. The tone of it is just playful. And State Farm was actually in the chat responding to people's comments throughout the stream. And that kind of brand engagement from a large scale brand, like we all know people love when brands respond to their tweets, RIP, or other comments online. But seeing that happen in real time, we can't even get into that, Travis.
Can we drop an F in chat for Twitter?
But getting into that real time is even more exciting, right? It makes them feel the immediacy of being heard.
Yeah, for sure. So in these last couple minutes, chat, anything else that you'd like to feel heard about inside of our stream here? Things that you want to share with the rest of the people? Anything?
Well, we're waiting for those questions to come in. If there are any, I just want to let people know that, number one, we just really appreciate you being here. Yes. This is very exciting. Travis and I have been looking forward to it for quite some time. And Absolutely. The fact that you spent an hour with us it really means a lot. So thank Absolutely. You. And if you want to hear more from us, hopefully we're going to be doing more of these, because number one, we think live is important, obviously, but number two, we just like them.
Yeah, I just like talking on camera, so I'm just, any chance that I can manufacture for me to just get in front of a microphone, I'm probably going to do that.
Yes. So if you want to keep up with us, butcherbird.com is where we live, and butcherbird.com/newsletter, Will's going to drop it in the chat for you, so have it, is where you can sign up for our newsletter. We promise we will never spam you. We will never sell your data. But it's a nice way to just keep an eye on what we're up to and become aware if we do any other events like this.
So obviously we're live on LinkedIn right now. Mm-hmm. So if you have somehow managed to find your way here, but do not follow us on LinkedIn. Please follow us on LinkedIn. Please, please. We have a personal inside goal of hitting 800 followers by the end of today. And we're like
598.
We're at 798.
Or sorry, 798.
798.
You could make our dreams come true.
Yeah. Be one of the people who push us over the top.
If there is anything that you would like to hear us talk about in the future, anything that listen, we want to do a whole webinar that's just on interactivity and the types of interactivity. But if there are things that you'd like to hear more about when it comes to live streaming, video production, interactivity, digital fan engagement, you name it.
Virtual production.
Virtual production.
AI.
And video.
You're worried about stuff.
Are you worried about it? Let's talk about it. Drop it in the chat. We'd love to hear from you. Or send us an email. info@butcherbird.
I, again, am Travis Stevens.
And I'm Emily Kerrigan.
And this is Emily Kerrigan. Thank you for tuning in today, Butcherbird Studios. And hopefully we'll see you on the next one.
Clapping emojis for all of you. Thanks for tuning in.